So here we are here today to talk about Deepin 15.8, and as my title says, RMRF. Now, for some background, Deepin is one of the distros that I did run on my system for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. I ran it on my media PC, which is my distro testing ground. So for those jumping back and forth between channels, not quite as familiar with how I run things, I have several different computers. My main production computers do not jump. I am not a distro hopper when it comes to production. Two of my main production computers run Linux Mint Cinnamon. I have another production computer running Peppermint. The Peppermint one is on a very low-spec Lenovo computer, and it runs absolutely gorgeous. Love that computer. But I have this other computer which I refer to as my media PC. It's basically the all-purpose PC for my office. I'll occasionally do some video editing. I'll occasionally write letters over there. I check various email accounts. I watch videos. I watch YouTube videos. I watch movies, play DVDs. So I get a chance to test a wide spectrum of things on that computer. And what I do is I change the operating system or desktop environment or do something interesting with the system every few weeks to get some good flow of videos and get some wide range of experience. So it was a couple of weeks back, maybe a month or so back, when I was running Deepin 15.7, and I ran that, and I was actually very much impressed with it. The desktop environment was very nice, and then I had a lot of questions. How does this compare with Deepin desktop environment running on Manjaro? And so I went from DeepinOS to Manjaro Deepin, and then I did a comparative video on that process. And so you can have a look at those videos to see what my initial take was back then. But of course, as Linux distros roll, sometimes we get things. Of course, there was some controversy back in 15.5. QuidSub, who does a lot better security stuff than I do, identified that there is a malicious script. Of course, QuidSub also has a software that helps you identify these things and block them on your network. I believe his system is called NoTrack. Which you can run on a Raspberry Pi, connect it to your home router, and use that as a DNS filter, which will filter out ads, junk, or whatever else you need it to filter. So you can have a look at QuidSub's video there talking about how he identified a tracking script that was in Deepin 15.5. This caused a little bit of controversy, which on top of the already kind of prejudicial controversy that, oh, it's a Chinese operating system. So does this mean that they're going to do crazy spy stuff? And that has been a legitimate concern. One person commented on my on the video on Deepin and said, I am a Chinese software developer and I would not trust anything that comes out of China. Well, that was an interesting comment. Assuming that he was at his word and truly is a Chinese software developer, that is a very telling statement. All right. And so 15.5, I was a little controversial about it. It was either 15.6 or 15.7 due to some controversy. Apparently, they took out that script. Now, all that was basically like a Google Analytics script, only instead of being Google Analytics, it was a Chinese analytics firm, and it was embedded in the Deepin store. So you loaded up the store, which behaved like a website, and it pinged home, and that analytics company could tell anything that you did on the store, whether it's upgrading software or downloading packages or whatever else. Still a security privacy concern. So that seemed to come out as QuidSub demonstrated in the next release, which was either 15.6 or 15.7. So I ran 15.7 going, QuidSub says this is no longer in there, so let's go ahead and give it a try. And I actually gave it some 2 thumbs up. I thought it was a great distribution. I thought it was an interesting desktop environment. There were, of course, some little flaws with it, but such is life. So let's go ahead and have a look at their release notes. So Deepin 15.8, supposedly attractive and efficient, excellent user experience, so they say. All right, so there's some new features, and I will try and remember these features and look for them when we actually look at the distro. So dock, fashion, or efficient, choose as you like. fashion or efficient, choose what you like. I mean, the fashion looks like Mac. I don't think that's really fashionable, but they should have said, like, hey, like Windows are like Mac, but maybe copyright stuff. It's China. What do they care? So that's always been a feature. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just going to be something easier to access, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I'm guessing that is like Windows automatically shows the desktop now, which is cool feature. I love that in a distro. In fact, I put that on my Linux Mint Cinnamon and on all of my systems that I run where I can. Control Center has a new page layout. They say brief but not simple. Not sure. This was one of the concerns. Of course, Solace put it on their own homebrew desktop environment, Budgie. They put all the settings on the side, and it's like, that was really cool and novel at first. However, it gets really annoying after a while. It really does get annoying after a while. And I understand why Solace pulled that out of the Raven menu and put it on its own separate window. So apparently they are maybe doing something like that. We'll have a look at what that looks like. They have a new grub menu. That's one of the things that Deepin's really good at. And one of the things that I said DeepinOS was better than Manjaro Deepin if you wanted to run the desktop environment is because from the initial boot up to the final shutdown, it is a polished system. Manjaro, we got the standard Linuxy code all over the place. We didn't get any customized grub loaders, anything like that. So if you're talking about from pushing the power button to shutting the system down, Deepin is absolutely gorgeous. Any Linux distro that wants to become a mainstreamy type distro needs to do that because it cuts down on the little concerns. Oh, it's booting up all these Linux lines. I don't know what's going on. Most distros just hide that behind a splash screen. Better that way. We have a dark theme, unified style interface. Cool and gorgeous. Okay. So I guess you have a brighter and darker icon themes. Okay, so they went from a little bit brighter to a little bit darker. Okay, so that's all right. So the Deepin installer now has a full disk encryption. I did not see this option when I installed it. I did not recall it. Maybe I missed it. If it's just some little thing, we'll look for it. I'm going to run the first part of the installation. I'm not going to go ahead and install the whole thing. I installed it on the VirtualBox just to make sure it would install right and to reduce the time in installation. File manager is improved. Of course, I had an issue with this where my media PC where I ran this on real hardware also has a Windows drive and it also has a Linux Mint drive in it. And every time you open the file manager, I got a very scary looking screen. I highlight that in a couple of my Deepin review videos. So I'm curious if that's still there, but we won't be able to see that because I'm not running this on that hardware. And then there's a few other items down here as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and boot up a virtual machine, and we are going to boot up the virtual machine first with the live key so that we can get a chance to see that. So let me go ahead and all right, so here we are booting up, and there was the initial start screen, so we should be booting into the installer. Now, again, there is you can get a download that is going to be the live version, so you can experiment with it and then choose to install it. This is the one that is merely the installer. And so we're going to have a look at what the installer looks like. All right, so first when you load it up, we launch right into the installer. We have to start by selecting our language. So let's go into English. Oh joy, we have a EULA. And yes, I am a nerd. I did read this EULA. I'm going to just highlight a few points in it. So of course this was updated. So of course this is not something new. This is just something you have to choose to accept to continue. Before it's like, yeah, we have it. It's somewhere on the website, but you never had to click anything here. And so I honestly didn't see if this existed. Not all instances, there's a lot of distros that may have EULAs. There's software packages that don't have EULAs, and I read them when I find them. I will note that I didn't see this before, there is a little X up here in the corner. I'm guessing that cancels the installation. I'm not sure what happens when that occurs. Who knows? Maybe it does indeed drop into a live key. So let's go ahead and flip through the EULA, because there's some interesting things. In fact, there's some very interesting things, and hopefully I can find all of the things I want to talk about, since it's hard to break up into sections. So unless it's being replaced by a new version, the EULA applies to any version of Deepin software and its related updates and usage of the source code, regardless in any way of how the software is delivered. Even if you have read and accepted all terms in this EULA, you still need to be authorized to have the right to install, copy, and use the software by any other means through one of the message. Obtain license through Deepin Technology directly. Obtain the license from Deepin Technology through an authorized distributors. Obtain the license from authorized third party, which is eligible to distribute the license. All right. So, of course, if you get the Deepin community version from the official releases of Deepin, you are deemed to have obtained the license by the first way described above. So, downloading it, we have indeed a license for using Deepin. But there's some things you must comply with. All right. The software is only licensed to people who comply with the terms in the EULA. Okay, all that's fairly standard. And of course, let's see, Deepin Technology grants you perpetual worldwide non-exclusive license to the software, its multiple components, pertinent to the EULA and the GPL, I can't talk today, version 3. Each software component is guided by its own individual license, which we can read about. There's nothing too out of the ordinary here. Of course, intellectual property rights. The software and all its components are owned by Deepin and or other licensors and are protected under copyright law. You shall not remove any copyright mark from the license. All this is fairly standard stuff. Okay. Of course, you shall not copy the printing material. You agree to prevent pirates, any pirates of the software and printing documents. You shall not remove or destroy any copyright mark in the software. Okay, so of course it can be redistributed according to the license. There's the instructions there. So I want to get down to the parts that's a little intriguing. Okay. Number 1, specifications. Use of the software is subject to the laws and the EULA. You are entitled to perform, including but not limited to the final. So, of course, you can't publish, deliver, transmit, or store any content that contravenes national law. Now, the question is, whose law? This is a Chinese software, which U.S. and, there's like zero jurisdiction that Chinese Republic would have on me here, but embedded in this EULA says that we are bound to the laws of the Chinese Republic. I will point that out when I find it. Okay, so you can't publish, deliver anything that infringes intellectual property rights of others or trade secrets, so don't use our desktop operating system if you want to steal data. You can't use this system to advertise bulk or scam or spams. You can't transmit pictures, images, software, other materials that infringe on third parties unless you've obtained necessary. You can't do anything that would compromise network security, which basically might mean you can't do pen testing, is some definitions. So that's kind of it. Okay, and actually there's one more. To use the software, other services other than services provided by the software and Deepin Technology in any illegal way for any purpose or in any way inconsistent with the EULA. So, okay. All right. So Deepin Technology warrants that media which the software and components are furnished will be free from defects under normal use for 30 days from the date of delivery, blah, blah, blah. All right. So I want to find a couple of the interesting things in here, and if I can't find them specifically, then I will tell you about them. Okay, limited support, third-party programs, export restrictions. Okay, you agree not to export or re-export the software or any part of it or any program that is direct result of the software to any country or territory outside of China mainland. Well, that's an interesting thing to put in a EULA that you make available across the internet. So that certainly is an interesting thing. Also, it tells us that's feedback, applicable law. The establishment, implementation, okay, this is where it gets freaky. The establishment, implementation, and interpretation and resolution of disputes with respect to the EULA shall be governed by the laws of the People's Republic of China, PRC. When any dispute arises between Deepin technology and the user due to the content of the implement of the EULA, the two parties shall resolve it through friendly negotiation. If negotiation fails, the user hereby agrees the dispute shall be resolved in the court located in the jurisdiction where Deepin technology resides. So they are the chief holders. They hold the ability to interpret it. So if you say, well, that's what this means legally, they go, well, no, not in our interpretation. I mean, postmodernism, folks. In their interpretation, then they could pretty much say whatever you want. And then, of course, you are subject to go to court in mainland China. So if I use this system in a way that is unflattering to them, I could find myself in trouble should I ever visit mainland China. So that's kind of exciting. So we have this entire EULA that we have to accept before we actually install the system. So we have this EULA, which the freakiest part about this, a lot of this is fairly standard, but that freakiest part is that it is interpreted and disputed by them under the jurisdiction of the PRC. So automatically, this is a system. So I'm going to decline the license at this point in time for all practical purposes. But what we are going to do is I'm going to walk you through what this looks like in case you can agree to this nonsense and put it in your system. I'm going to go ahead and cancel and abort. Abort. All right, let's go ahead and kick this off, and we're going to remove that from the disk. Since I already have installed the system, we're going to go ahead and boot it up. So this is what I'm talking about. Here is our grub menu, which looks very nice. Of course, this would be full screen if you installed it on real hardware. I, however, am installing this on a VirtualBox. We do have this part, and then, we have a completely different loading screen. Do I have the right distro? Hopefully I booted the right distro, because Deepin is much more beautiful than that. We do have Deepin. All right. Yeah, so that's interesting. They used to have an absolutely gorgeous loading screen. They got rid of the absolutely gorgeous loading screen. All right, let's go ahead and log on in to Deepin. Okay, so we are in a virtual machine, so it asks us if we'd like to run this. This is not something you would have if you were installing it on real hardware. So the effect mode, I believe, is going to give us a lot better results. Common mode is going to have faster performance. We're going to go ahead and use, actually, we're just going to go ahead and use effect mode because this computer is built to be able to do this kind of stuff. There we are. There's our basic startup. And we should start ourselves out in the efficiency mode. Ooh, it's beautiful. It actually does look a little bit nicer. All right, so here we have a loading window, which walks us through a bunch of things. I'm going to skip through that. Here's fashion mode and efficient mode. Woohoo! Oh, so we can very easily toggle that there. We'll show you how to change that later. Disable window effect, enable window effect. Let's go ahead and... Okay, so what this is going to be is your translucency. So that is, if we were to pull up our menu on the side, it would be, you can kind of see it in the menu down here. This is more your material design. Quint, this is for you. This one here is for those of us that like a little bit of translucency and transparency, the people like me that find that pretty and beautiful. I really love, by the way, this initial startup screen because you can pretty much set how you want to go. So here's your Deepin Archon theme. Here's the Deepin Dark theme. You may not notice a lot of difference, so the trash can is really the major difference there. This is going to mean darker folders. I actually was using this one when I ran it, which is like a little under the sea type thing. Here's Papyrus for those of you guys who like material design. All right, I'm going to go with the Deepin Dark. Okay, so now we can change these items in the control center. So let's see. I think this was, let's see. So there's that. So, okay, so that's the wired connection. All right, so I got to remember, so right-clicking on the menu between icons. So like right-clicking there, we'll click on the icon. But if you go in kind of in between things, right-click, you'll get this little menu here. So this sets your fashion mode or your efficiency mode. So fashion mode is effectively like a Mac. Efficiency mode if you're looking for something more like a PC look. Including when you load something up, then you should get our task list across the bottom. Maybe you don't get the task list across the bottom. I thought you did, but maybe you don't. I can't remember. Okay, so the other thing is we have under our launcher, we have a couple different ways of doing the menu. This again is kind of like the Mac, which you can sort in this manner here, or you can click this icon in the upper left and you can kind of go into this view where it organizes them. I wish GNOME had something like this. I think there probably is an extension to do this. In fact, I'm sure of it. But the other thing that you can do in the launcher is you have this mode in the upper right, and this is what gives you like your Windows type mode. So we have all of our categories, we have our favorites, and a lot of the other information here. So depending on how you want your setup, you have that. I do see now that they do actually have this minimize. Let's see if this functions like a Mac or functions like a Windows. No, not the settings right now. We'll get to the settings in a bit. All right, so there's that. Another thing I glossed over on the EULA. Part of the EULA is, and I totally forgot about it until just now, but you are agreeing to let them install any other third-party software on the system that they want. It's kind of exciting. All right, so we're going to come down here, click that button, and now I'll pull this up. So it does actually minimize all windows is what it does. All right, another thing that I really liked about Deepin that I said is it does have, in my opinion, one of the best software managers of all times. Now, of course, you come up here. If you're not in China, you can come over here and select region, China or international. So the international will kind of get us things that are not based on that. We have a variety of things. Of course, we have Google Chrome installed by default, which I'm not a fan of that. There's some other things in there as well I'm not a huge fan of either, but the Software Center is very nice. It's very functional. It's searchable. This thing works really good. Click your uninstall. This gives you a list of everything that's installed in here. Like Deepin Cloud Print kind of scares me. This is a cloud service run by Deepin. So if this is enabled, it's possible you're sending your documents you're printing instead of going from right here, right through my Office network into my printer. It's possible it's sending the documents I print on this machine to Deepin's cloud servers. So that's a little frightening. Things like that. So that is that. Of course, our settings, this is one of the things that they said changed, and indeed it does. It does actually look different. So now we click on this, and we have this. I thought it showed us kind of a pop-out box. This really actually, once we get to this view here is new, but once you click in on one of these, this is essentially the same exact functionality it's always had. You can scroll down through these different things. Of course, one of the biggest negatives that I have talked about is that notifications are indeed messed up. Now, you can come in and turn off sound effects and you have no notifications. The problem is if you get something like Skype or something like an email application that has its own notifications built in, you will actually get your notification ping you twice. The only way around that is to take the master notification, which is in your opt share folder, and actually overwrite it. Quite literally overwrite it with a blank file. The file has to be there or you'll get an error, I think. But you can overwrite the file with a blank thing, and that will get rid of the notification. So those are all workarounds. Yes, I'm aware you can turn off sound effects. You can turn off notification sounds, but that doesn't solve the problem that I want notification sounds. I just don't want notification sounds twice for every application that has its own notification. That's one of those things that I had mentioned as not being quite as good. So as far as that, let's go ahead and pull up that website again, see what else we are missing here. So let's go ahead and go with the website is DeepinOS. Of course, we got Google Chrome installed, defaulting to Google. Totally awesome, Rio. We're rocking Google, man. Let's see. This is the release notes. So let's see if there's anything else I was missing. Okay, so that's one of the things. If you are in fashion mode, let's go ahead and go back to fashion mode. So they kind of give us this view here, which has effectively your control panel on it. Now they have more icons on theirs. Presumably that's if you go into, I think, let's see, plugins, you can keep hidden, smart hide, size, location. There's a way to put other things on there. I forget exactly where that is at, but you have that ability. Let's go back to our efficiency mode because I find it definitely more efficient. We already talked about that. Very bottom right-hand corner, just like Windows. Throw your mouse down there, click the button, minimizes all windows. Absolutely one of the best features Windows ever put in. And I duplicate it across my distros. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. Was they show us this, but I'm not getting these pop-outs. I'm not sure if... let me actually pull that up. I see a little setting thing at the top. Let's see if I can... Let me see if that's an option I can hit. See, I'm getting a lot of lag. Lot of lag right now. I'm getting my distro has crashed on me. My distro has crashed. Houston, our distro has crashed. Let's go ahead and kill it. Maybe it's VirtualBox has crashed. Maybe it's my computer has crashed. Wow. I'm actually having issues with my entire system right now. That's kind of exciting. I can't access anything. So that worked. All right. Hey, this is the menu there's working. This is exciting. You know, I got this once before on Deepin when I was doing some of my initial testing. It actually gave me that type of issue before. Let's go ahead and see if this restores functionality. Can I? All right. Hey, I'm back. I think what was happening is the VirtualBox was completely capturing my mouse. I couldn't get out of it. That was quite exciting. Let's go ahead and go back up to those settings again. So yeah, that's wowzers. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Loading, loading, loading. Oh, why is Deepin loading? Loading, loading, loading. Oh, why is IS loading? All right. Let's see. We're almost there. We're almost there. All right, we are back. Click back in on our settings. There is a settings option up there. Okay, I guess that's the thing that it used to be down kind of below everything. It used to be kind of in the middle, so that's what that is. So yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing kind of that pop out thing, but I am seeing. Let's see. Display. Oh, here's my transparency. I can set my degree of transparency. That's cool. Ooh, fancy. All right, here's our themes, window effects, microphone. Let's see. All right. Well, that's about it. I'm not seeing anything else that's radically different. Mostly on this, the UI or the EULA is the scariest thing. On the basis of the EULA and what you're kind of forced to agree with, I'm probably gonna say, I'm not really gonna recommend Deepin much anymore. So. Let me know what you think about DeepinOS with the addition of the EULA, at least the forced acceptance of the EULA. I don't remember that being there before. Let me know what you think about it. I hope you've enjoyed this video from SwitchedtoLinux. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the links at the top. There is another video over here. You can check out our Patreon page down here. And you can check out shop.switchedtolinux.com for information on a t-shirt like this or some other designs. Thanks for watching and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.